my name is Leslie Berger, and I would like to welcome you to this episode of Renew. Renew is a show about the College of Forest Resources at Mississippi State University. In the College of Forest Resources, we work to conserve and manage our natural resources in a way that allows them to be sustainable over a long term for the state of Mississippi, for the nation, and for the world. Today's episode is going to focus on the Department of Sustainable Bioproducts, one of the 3 departments within the College of Forest Resources. And joining me here today is Dr. Mustafa Mohammadabadi. So how did I do on your name?
It's a long and difficult last name.
It is. Well, I thank you for coming, and I apologize up front if I missed a syllable. So.
Thank you. No, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, I'm glad to hear actually a little bit more about the work that you do in the department, because this is the first time we've formally met.
Yes.
So tell me what you do in the Department of Sustainable Bioproducts.
I am working on wood composite, kind of try to develop a high-performance product from wood and other natural fibers.
Okay, so in the Department of Sustainable Bioproducts, by that name, it implies, sustainability. So tell me how it is that wood can be used to make all these different composites.
In general, if I am going to talk about composite, are those materials composed of different materials. Okay. And wood naturally is a composite material made of lignin, cellulose, or hemicellulose. But when we say composite, it's material that we can control the mechanical property.
Nice.
We can make it in a way stronger in one direction, or it can be water resistant, termite resistant, or fire resistant. So nowadays, global warming, carbon emission, wood is a renewable materials, is carbon negative. So the point is that how can we use wood and this concept, composite, to make a high performance product to compete with other materials. So this concept has allowed us to develop CLT and glulam. So because of those kind of achievements, right now we were able to enter high-rise building. We can make wood building 18-story, 25-story, or Japanese government, they are working on a building 70-story buildings out of timber. So
goodness.
Maybe 2040 or 2050. And this concept allow us to bring this carbon negativity to our infrastructure.
Okay. Because things like concrete or steel that we've historically made a 70-story building up, that is not carbon negative or carbon neutral.
Yeah, they are, we call it kind of large footprint, carbon footprint. They are carbon intensive, and at the end of the day, especially for concrete, it is kind of the most second used material. They cannot be recycled. They go to the landfill, but wood can be recycled.
Correct, right.
Yeah.
So you actually brought some pictures that demonstrate some of the research that you're doing on how you can use wood to make these composite materials. So could you explain a little bit about what your research is and what these pictures are demonstrating?
Yeah, another aspect, this one is not only about wood. Another aspect of our forest is about how can we improve the health and resilience of our forest. So 30% of the US land is forest area.
Right.
And without management practices, our forests are going to be dense, susceptible to disease, susceptible to fire. And when our forests are dense, the fire and disease can spread faster from one tree to another tree.
Sure.
So we need to manage, we need to take care of this natural resource. But the problem is that the result of management practices are small diameter trees that cannot be used to make lumber. So in this project, we are going to use these small diameter trees to make a composite material and to bring it to our infrastructure. We are going to use composite concept, engineering concept, and the new design methodology that we have some kind of product like this, corrugated or different geometries that can improve the performance of the product from small diameter trees to bring a new concept and help our farmers.
Correct, right. So you don't have to use a big tree. You can use these smaller trees that result and be able to make composite materials like this that can be fitted together to be strong and renewable, carbon neutral.
And compete with those products made out of lumber, such as gulula.
Right, because you need to keep some of those big pieces of lumber for other things that only they can do.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that's that idea of sort of renewability and sustainability that we were talking about earlier.
And by closure of kind of pulp and the paper industry, it is important to bring this new concept. A state like California, they are looking for such a market now.
Correct. So it supports the market, but also supports that private landowner, giving them a way to be able to make money from that land, keep that land in production so it's not turned into a Walmart parking lot or something like that. So it provides benefits. So it seems like your research is very timely and meets a lot of needs. So I'm excited to learn a little bit more about that. And I hope that we can connect again to learn more about your work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
We'll be back in just a moment after the break.
Want a career as big as the outdoors? Want to have an impact on the environment? The College of Forest Resources at Mississippi State University delivers hands-on training, ensuring clean air and water, wildlife habitats, and a sustainable environment. Creating new wood products and retooling old ones for today and tomorrow. Find a career in whatever path you choose. Majors in forestry, natural resource and environmental conservation, sustainable bioproducts, wildlife, fisheries, and aquaculture. Want a career as big as the outdoors? Choose the College of Forest Resources at Mississippi State University.
Discovery. It tells our history and determines our future. At Mississippi State University, we're digging deep, unlocking an understanding of our past, validating it. Middle East exploration by faculty and students is uncovering evidence that unravels ancient mysteries. Scholars have long thought of the biblical kings David and Solomon as mythological figures. Our research offers evidence that supports their existence, boosting MSU into an international league of experts on archaeology. Now we're changing the way people think about the past, opening up new possibilities of understanding for future generations. Digging deeper, learning more.
Welcome back to Renew. We've been learning about the Department of Sustainable Bioproducts in the College of Forest Resources at Mississippi State University. Joining me now is Dr. Kevin Reagan, who's going to be sharing a little bit about his work in the department.
Hey, good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming. So before the break, we were talking about some of the research that the unit is doing, and then certainly that you and Dr. Muhammad Abadi are doing, looking at how we can use these forest products to make materials that can be used in buildings and solve a problem on the carbon-rich products like steel and concrete by using wood that's renewable, but also solving a problem for private landowners who want to maintain healthy forests, but the only way they can do that is be able to remove some of these small trees that are creating fires and disease risks for those landowners. But as a land-grant university, it's not just about the research, it's about communicating that information that we learn from the research to the people that would benefit most from that.
Correct.
So in my perspective, that's going to be the industry with a capital I, right? There's a lot of people involved in that. And then the private landowners. So that is your job within the department, is Extension.
I work for Extension, and inside of that job role comes interaction between the faculty, which we have, I think, 15 new faculty members, which is pretty exciting. And all are reaching really high for different types of research, but then also working with industry to kind of have that technology transfer, kind of like what Mustafa is working with, and the ability to work with landowners and to make those trees that were normally of less value more valuable through research is very important. One of our biggest challenges, though, with the industry is we have a lot of retirees, and so replacing those workers with educated kids coming out of school is very important to the industry. And so with some of the grants that Dr. Muhammad Abadi and myself are working on, we're looking at taking some of the very high-end research and merging that into some of the high schools to try to attract those students to come over and learn more about wood chemistry, wildlife, forestry, just everything that entails forestry in the state of Mississippi.
So what does that
And,
look like? How do you do that?
Yeah, so through Extension, we have a large network, as you well know,
Mm-hmm.
throughout the state, and we're currently writing different types of curriculum for high school kids. And so we're targeting 10 counties each year and going to those schools and asking teachers just to teach those for about 3 or 4 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and then having a small competition based on what they learn.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
And then the 1 or 2 winners will come to campus and actually work with Mustafa on some of his projects. And so we think by exposing those kids who, 62% of our state is covered by forest, so
Correct.
they all know they're surrounded by that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we think that we can entice them to come to campus and learn more about trees and more about wildlife and more about also wood and wood physics and how that plays an important role in our economy.
Yes, yeah, and then the job opportunities are actually huge
Yeah, so
for them.
currently in the Department of Sustainable Bioproducts, we have we have 100% job placement. I have kids that they'll come in and bring their resumes and we'll send them out and they'll have a job before they graduate. So that's my job, right?
Yeah,
So-
that's fantastic. So what are some of the industries that you're working with that are partnering with Mississippi State on
Sure.
these issues?
The traditional sawmill, so you have a dimensional lumber. We work with poles and piles, large timbers, plywood, veneer mills, OSB mills, also large broker firms that deal with foreign exports. And so it really gets large. And some of the things you don't think about is actual fuel. So we do pellet companies that make small, tiny pellets for fuel, and also biodiesel that goes into a number of different products to help with some of the shortages that we have in the fuel supply. So.
Right. So that there's so many different dimensions to it that students may not even be aware of.
It's very
so what
broad,
you're trying
and
to do.
yeah, you really need to come and see it so you know exactly what all is available to get an employment in.
So if you were talking to a high school teacher or you're talking to a high school student and you had a young person there, you're trying to get that teacher to guide that young person, what kinds of things would that high school student need to be thinking about if this was a career they might be thinking about? What should
Yeah, I
they
know
do?
when I was in high school, I wasn't thinking much
probably-
about a career at all, right? So, but yeah, the teacher is the most important element in that game plan, is to actually get them focused on thinking about what they want to do. And a number of kids in high school in Mississippi, they like the outdoors, they like interacting with wildlife and that type of thing. And so we offer jobs that kind of place you into what you already kind of love. And so
Right.
it allows you to stay here, but not only here, it allows you to travel the country. We have kids
Correct.
in just about every state working.
Right. So you can stay home, you can contribute, and yeah, it's a win-win
right.
for everything.
It's a win-win for everybody.
So thank you for coming. I appreciate you
I
sharing.
appreciate you offering me to be
I hope that the rest of you that joined us today have learned a little bit more about the Department of Sustainable Bioproducts at Mississippi State University. I hope to see you again soon. Thank you for joining me.